Hello, I'm Vi Dutcher, Director of EMU's Writing Program. Welcome to the Writing Workshop on Revision. Some time ago, I received feedback from an editor about an article I had submitted. I thought the feedback was harsh and undeserving. I reacted. I took it very personally. Then I read it again in the context of what I know as a writing teacher, of what I know about how the writing process works. I realized that the editor wanted me to revise and resubmit. That was good news. It was not really a rejection. I read it again and listed what I wanted to do, and I re-entered my voice into that conversation. I wrote a revision, actually added 7 pages, then I let it sit and percolate for a week before I sent it in again. One thing that I needed to think about for the revision was audience and purpose. To whom was I writing and why? This takes thought. Thought to invent the ideas we want to represent with words. You've heard it said that I'm just going to write down my thoughts. This is actually impossible. We cannot write down our thoughts. We have to use words for our thoughts, and words are symbols. Think about this. The thing you're sitting on is something we call a chair. Chair is a symbol of what we conceptualize as chairness. The word itself, chair, is not the actual thing you're sitting on, but it represents that thing. And that's what you do when you write. You have a thought, and then you need to represent it with words. Words that will mean something to your audience and that accomplish your purpose. These words need to be strung together into sentences that have meaning. The sentences need to connect in ways that allow your audience to follow your thinking. The paragraphs can only handle one topic sentence each, and they need to transition to the one before and from the one after so that your audience can follow your thinking. So when you're revising, make sure that each paragraph has one idea that in turn supports your thesis and that it's fully developed. Your audience cannot crawl into your brain and figure it out. In fact, your audience will get distracted, and their brains will take them on many flights of fancy as they read your words. It's your task to keep your audience on point, to keep them spot on to what you're saying. This includes defining terms so that you and your audience are on the same page, so to speak, with meaning. Even a simple word such as poor can mean many different things to a variety of people. What do you mean by poor? Having thousands of dollars in the bank that you won't touch, and only meaning that you don't have a large cash flow? Does it mean you have nothing in the bank and are living paycheck to paycheck? Does it mean you don't have a paycheck? You have no resources? In other words, you have no aunts, uncles, parents, grandparents who could pinch hit for you? Does it mean you have no job and no ways of bringing in an income? Does it mean that none of this matters because you're rich in love and friends and family? If you're writing on what it means to be poor or on poverty, you'd best define what you mean. Otherwise, your audience is often running with their own ideas and away from what you might be trying to say and the point you're trying to make. When you revise, first make sure you have a strong thesis. Does your thesis guide your paper? Do you have several supporting points to articulate what you have to say? Is the significance of your claim clear to the reader? The significance is important. Without it, you have a report only. You have not made a claim and set out to support it. And then again, check each paragraph. Does each one have that one supporting point? Is it well developed? Have you included transition words to segue from one paragraph to another, showing your logical progression through the paper, the relationships among your ideas? Does your introduction provide adequate background for your thesis? Do you define important and/or vague terms? Do you make a commitment to your readers? In your conclusion, do you provide closure? Do you nudge the reader toward how you'd like them to think about your thesis? Not what they should think or what they should think about, but rather how to consider thoughtfully what you have to say. Do you discuss the implications for the ideas you're putting forth? On the sentence level, have you constructed sentences with variety? Have you thought about your readers and how they're following your train of thought? Have you examined each primary word for the choice you've made? 2 examples here. Examine your paper for the word it. If it does not refer back to anything, it is an empty placeholder and means nothing. It is a referent. It should always refer to something very clearly. The word there is an empty placeholder in the subject position often. It's not grammatically incorrect, but if you have there as in the subject position, there is obviously something going on in your sentence that you're not making clear to the reader. Have you checked your paper for grammar? Professional copy editors often read backward so that their eyes do not run ahead of their place on the page. Have you read your paper aloud? Have you had someone else read your paper so that you know with certainty that readers can follow your thinking as represented by your writing? Remember that the Writing Program website, accessed through a link on My EMU, and the Everyday Writer, EMU's Writing Handbook, are also excellent resources for you.